Before superheroes ruled movies, one guy fought evil with a chainsaw, a shotgun, and a bunch of questionable decisions. On this episode of Moving Panels, we discuss Army of Darkness.
Welcome to Moving Panels, ignite the mic. From Gotham's alleys to galaxy's fall, we dive in deep, we set the bar. Debates and takes, we bring the heat. Pull up a chair, join a seat. Moving Panels, where fandom takes flight. We review, discuss, and shed the light. Heroes, villains, every epic night. This is your show, your fandom's might.
Welcome to Moving Panels, the podcast where we discuss movies and TV shows that are based on, inspired by, and adapted from the world of comic books. I'm your host, Laramy Wells. And joining me in the co-host chairs today, first up, a man who I assume would immediately become the self-appointed king of any medieval village. Please welcome from Pop Culture Roulette, it's Nicholas Pepin.
What's up, screwheads?
And joining us as well, a man who would absolutely be the one who is trying to explain modern technology to peasants, only to realize he doesn't actually know how electricity works. Please welcome James Brooks.
Hello, everyone.
So today we are ending our summer series here at the end of July. We've been looking at movies that aren't adapted or necessarily based off of comic books, but are just inspired by them. And this movie captures, I think, a comic book energy so well that the comics agreed, and it later actually became a comic book. And that, of course, is Army of Darkness. Do y'all agree, like, this is probably the, like, even though it's not based on a comic, it's the one movie that you could say just full out went comic book afterwards?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, definitely. Especially with some of those camera angles in there. I just feel like I'm watching, comic book panels.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll get into that, but I'm more just, this is going into the now, we've talked about comics that are inspired or movies, that are inspired by comic, but Army of Darkness is a movie that then inspired comics. Like we got all these crossovers with Marvel Zombies, and we've got, we're talking about other movies, but you got Ash coming in with the Freddy and Jason. They had a comic book with Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. And of course, Army of Darkness continued on in the comic books. And so, yeah, I think this is the big one, but let's get into it. So Army of Darkness was released February 19th of 1993, directed by Sam Raimi, written by Sam Raimi with his brother Ivan. When did each of you first see Army of Darkness?
Well, oddly enough, so 96, I went to Homecoming. I was still in that's the year I graduated high school. So I guess it probably would have actually been 95 because Homecoming is before prom. But my date and I and the other couple that we were there with were like, this is lame, let's get out of here. So we went to Blockbuster, and the other guy was like, guys, have you ever seen this movie? I'm like, no, I've never seen this movie. What is this? Army of Darkness? I've never even heard of it. I'd never even heard of Evil Dead at that point.
Yes.
And so we went back to their house, and we watched Army of Darkness, and I was like, this is amazing. I must know more.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. How about you, James?
Well, for me, not as exciting, but during like those early 2000s, always like on the Saturday morning, evening type things, I would turn on Sci-Fi Channel, and Sci-Fi would have all sorts of cool stuff. And I turned it on, and I'm not trying to give away too much of what we're going to be talking about. The first thing that I got to see was that whole weird thing with the skeletons. And I was like, this looks great. He's punching them. This is so much fun. So that was my introductory to Army of Darkness. And this was before seeing Evil Dead as well.
Wow, that's crazy. We all three had a very similar experience. We saw this movie before we saw Evil Dead. Because that was the same. Mine is very similar to Nicholas's. I didn't get it at Blockbuster. I actually found it at my local library. Yeah, we would go to the library. This was when I was in high school, so this is probably around 95, 96. And I was looking through the movies at the library. Saw this one. Was going, hey, that looks fun. That looks pretty cool. Got home, and it's that opening scene where he's telling the story, and I'm going, this feels like a sequel. And I believe I powered up my old, Gateway computer I think IMDb still existed back then, but somehow I used the ancient internet of the late 90s, found out about the Evil Dead movies, and then I think I went to Blockbuster in order to get the Evil. And I want to say I even think I saw those in reverse order. I think I found Evil Dead 2, and then it wasn't until later I was able to get a hold of the first Evil Dead.
That I'm not so. I mean, I know when I saw both of those in college. So like a year later, when I had a roommate who was like, "You liked Army of Darkness? You got to see these other ones." And I was like,
"Man,
oh.
Evil Dead was my go-to movie in college. Like when I was with a group of friends, that I was the one going, "You want to watch a horror movie? You ever seen Evil Dead?" Like that was my carried that one around with me to show people, my VHS copy, because that was before I had a DVD. So yeah, man, look, I'm a big Evil Dead person. I have discussed the Evil Dead movies on Tim's podcast, an 80s Flick Flashback. And you know what? I'll find a reason probably one day to do them here, because we're already doing Army of Darkness. Why not go back and do the other ones? But
and you have done Evil Dead Rise with me.
Correct. That's right. I did see that one. And now we've got more Evil Dead to come. Evil Dead Burn, Evil Dead Wrath. That's the name of the other one,
and
right?
the series, short-lived series.
Yeah. No, I've actually got that in the notes to talk about later. But let's keep talking about the movie. So the movie stars, of course, Bruce Campbell. Although I was looking through his filmography, I am pretty sure this is the only big studio movie he ever starred in.
Yeah, that he was the lead role in.
The lead, yeah. I mean, he's had small parts in others. I always, for some odd reason, I remember his brief appearance in Congo.
Yeah. Well, he has little bit roles in so many random movies that you wouldn't think Bruce Campbell would be in. I mean, it's just because he goes so far outside of the horror genre with his because he's got that perfect smarmy when they need a guy to do that kind of role.
I was also going to say, this probably shows you my taste in films. Man with the Screaming Brain, very lost role for Bruce Campbell.
Well, I mean,
beautiful.
Man with the Screaming Brains, Alien, Apocalypse, but they weren't major studio starring.
No, of course he makes the cameos in other Sam Raimi movies, he's in all three of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. He's in Multiverse of Madness. But I even he's got a random part. Do you remember the comedy McHale's Navy?
Yep. With
Tom Arnold, he's got a part in that. But he's got of course he's got a lot of the low budget stuff like The Man with the Screaming Brain. He's got that. Have you seen? He's got a Black Friday.
Yes, that movie is great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Slept on, I think.
That's a fun one. And there's a few others that right now aren't coming to mind, and then of course he was in a lot of television, he was in the Hercules and the Xena television shows, and he was a regular, a main cast member on Burn Notice.
Yeah. And the criminally underrated, never should have been canceled as soon as it was, Briscoe County Jr.
Oh, I love Briscoe County. Yeah, Briscoe County. And then Jack of All Trades.
Jack of All Trades, yeah.
Yeah, but Briscoe County Jr. was... that show came out way before its time. Horribly underrated. I own that entire series on DVD.
I think my dad does, so one day I'll inherit it.
That's another one I could talk about, because that's got a very comic book.
It does.
Because it crosses Western with sci-fi, and so got that pulp fiction, which is where comics kind of come from. But let's move on. We've also got Embeth Davidtz. I assume that's how you pronounce her last name. Here playing Sheila, the love interest, who is one of those actresses that I don't think I immediately recognize her, but then when you look up her filmography, I go, oh, because she's Miss Honey in Matilda.
Okay.
She's also the love interest of Robin Williams in Bicentennial Man.
Okay, I remember watching that one, but it's been a long time. So
yeah, same here.
Right after this movie, she did Schindler's List. That was a kind of a crazy one. Went on to, I guess you would say, bigger and better things after Army of Darkness. I read some stuff that said that she didn't really enjoy making this movie, but I didn't see anything officially. So I don't know if that's just word of mouth or what, but she will be known as this part for me, as far as I'm concerned. There's not really many other people to mention. I did point out the actor that plays, I guess, King Arthur, Marcus Gilbert, who I did discover he actually unfortunately passed away earlier this year, back in January. But he's mainly a British actor, so I didn't see a lot of things that I recognized him from, other than he's got a small role in Rambo 3. There you go.
Very nice.
And then probably the other actor that people actually recognize is Ian Abercrombie, who plays the wizard. I don't remember what the actual character's name was. I didn't write it down because I don't think he has one. I think he's just the wise man. But of course, he probably more recently he's been doing voice work. He's the voice of Darth Sidious and Palpatine in the Star Wars animated stuff like Clone Wars.
Right. Right.
But we've talked about him before because he played Alfred on the CW or WB series Birds of Prey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And then James, you as a horror movie guy, he's the psychiatrist in Jack Frost 2.
God, what a fever dream of a movie. I don't remember that one as much as I do the first one.
He's one of those like little character actors. Like you see him and you really try to place like, what else have I seen you in?
The thing I immediately was like, oh, he was one of Elaine's bosses on
there
Seinfeld.
You go. Mr. Pitts on Seinfeld.
Yeah.
That was what I was gonna say for anybody who's still racking their brain. I will also point out that he plays Hammond's butler in the opening scene of Lost World Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about now. Like I'm picturing like the whole character without all the magic stuff on.
Yeah, without all the hair and the beard and but that was pretty much it. There is another person we're going to talk about later that makes an appearance in this movie, but in terms of the actual main characters, that was really all that I knew. Is there anybody who y'all saw that you went, oh hey, I want to talk about him?
I saw the the requisite Ted Raimi cameo.
Yeah, he plays 4 different characters.
Yeah, and one of them was one of the worst beards that you would have ever seen on a film.
When he says, "You have my steel."
Yeah.
That one was bad.
He tried.
Yeah, he tried. He failed, but he tried. And then found out Bruce Campbell's dad is even in the movie as one of the the knights or something. So,
oh, cool.
Of course, that's usually the case with Sam Raimi. Is there's a lot of people who know each other. All right, so and again, I'm going to come back to the person who I haven't talked about, who I think both of y'all know, who's in the beginning of the movie. But let's jump to the end of the movie. So at the end of the movie, when Ash returns to S-Mart, did either of you recognize the girl he's flirting with?
In the uncredited role of
yes,
girl
girl at S-Mart. Yeah.
No, I'm afraid not.
Bridget Fonda.
No. That's at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
No, at the end of the movie, the short bob, kind of redhead, that he ends the movie by kissing her. Hail to the king, baby. Says that. That is Angela Featherstone, who some of you may know as Linda from The Wedding Singer.
Oh my god. Now I'm gonna have to freeze frame and actually look at this now because I just glaze her over the back of my head when I'm watching this.
Because I'm looking, trying to find I was like, who else in this movie is known? And I clicked on her, and you go to her IMDb, very first thing it says, "What are you known for?" And it said The Wedding Singer. I was like, oh, who was she in The Wedding Singer? Linda. I was like, seriously.
That's
she
funny.
is, yeah. So there you go. She's been in a lot of other stuff too. You can go and look. But as soon as I saw she was Linda in The Wedding Singer, which apparently she's in a whole bunch of stuff. Like she had a regular role on a couple of shows, but yeah. But that was the thing to recognize her from. But yeah, let's go ahead since you brought it up. So yeah, at the very beginning of the movie, we get I guess you could say a cameo by, some would say, Hollywood royalty. Bridget Fonda playing Linda. The third Evil Dead movie, the third actor is playing Linda. And she apparently asked for the role. Apparently she was fan of the Evil Dead movies and asked to be in this one. And Sam Raimi gave her the part of Linda for the opening.
For all of 35 seconds?
Yeah, for the opening. Does she even have a line? Like, does she?
She maybe makes a noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, she screams, but I don't even know if she has a line.
I don't think she says Ash at all.
So
was she a thing in '93, or was that because I know Romy and Michelle and some of the like Mimic and some of the other stuff was after that, but
well, I mean, she's obviously a thing being a Fonda.
Well, yeah,
but I mean, she had already done Single White Female.
Oh, okay, all right, so yeah,
and Point of No Return would have been around this
this
time too. I don't know the exact date on that.
So yeah, why? I mean, granted, it was uncredited that they probably didn't pay her. It was just show up, scream, and then hang out for the day.
That's a wrap, everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, she had been doing stuff since since like the 80s, because she's in Godfather Part 3.
Is she?
Yeah,
I never watched that one.
It's a forgettable, but yeah,
a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, and then she's in Doc Hollywood. That was what, 89, 90 itself.
Okay.
So
I vaguely remember that one.
Yeah, I mean, she hadn't done like Jackie Brown yet, but I would say Single White Female was probably her big kind of starring breakout role. So yeah, you've heard us talk about it, but just to mention again, this is the third movie in the Evil Dead franchise. Universal agreed to let Raimi do this as a big budget movie after the success of Darkman. Either one of y'all a fan of Darkman?
I love it.
I think I saw it on TV once, and I really want to like revisit it because I do enjoy the work of Sam Raimi. But
yeah, I will say this was Darkman's one that I didn't really like it on the first watch. That it took a couple. I think I had to appreciate Sam Raimi a little bit more before I appreciated Darkman. I don't like the sequel though.
Oh no, they're awful.
Apparently Sam Raimi wanted to title this Medieval Dead. I really wish he had. They were also going to call it Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness, and apparently Universal said no to that they didn't want it to actually be connected, like obviously connected. Which I don't blame them. Like, if it had been titled Evil Dead 3, Army of Darkness, you got to think all three of us were not familiar with Evil Dead. Would you have even thought to see it if it was titled Evil Dead 3?
Yeah, no, I probably would have pushed for something else in that scenario because I wouldn't have known that it was a sequel.
Yeah, same here.
And like it just, on a date, like you're like, okay, like, like a low budget horror movie, sure, great. Now, I, being the idiot that I was in '96, probably missed a lot of signs because I watched the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just like, man, this movie's great. I'm sure like that's why that never went anywhere other than just being a high school relationship.
Yeah. I can kind of see why. But then again, if you go back to when Evil Dead was first being, thrown at producers, he wanted to call it Book of the Dead. So.
Yeah. Which didn't they later name like a kid's animated movie that?
I think so.
Yeah. But what's crazy is that each Evil Dead movie, for those of you not familiar, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but each Evil Dead movie has to tell the entire story of the first movie at the beginning of each movie. Like they essentially, there's the famous story of they make the first one. When they go to make the second one, Sam Raimi didn't really have the rights to use anything from the first movie. So he had to briefly retell the entire movie at the beginning so that he could go right into Evil Dead 2. And then this one, I guess because they knew a lot of people would be watching it without knowing anything, they essentially did the same thing. Like, we're going to quickly explain what's going on. Of course, they did use footage from Evil Dead 2 at the beginning and then just move on. But again, if you're not familiar with these movies, Evil Dead is a horror movie. Evil Dead 2, this is the way I describe it, and James, you can speak in, or Nicholas. Evil Dead is a horror movie. It's a low budget horror movie, so it's some unintentional comedy in it, but it's a horror movie. Evil Dead 2 is a horror comedy. Army of Darkness is a comedy horror.
Yeah, like, I mean, calling Army of Darkness a horror movie is almost even a stretch. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
there are some horror elements, but like, yeah, like, I mean, it's just it's
Yeah,
light,
but
you know.
but only because it's a part of the series that I
Right.
keep horror in it. But that's why I flip it and I say
Yeah.
it's a comedy horror.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to agree as well. First one, horror. Second, comedy horror. And I would probably even say with Army of Darkness, more of a fantasy comedy, if you will. I mean, it's got some like creepy moments, but then
Yeah.
what most fantasy movies don't at that point. And then with the new age of Evil Dead, they're trying to get it back to horror, which they're kind of not doing.
Yeah. Well, again, even though this is not based on a comic book, we're still going to give it a comic book connection.
Step into the panels, heroes in action. Flip through the pages for your satisfaction. Feel the thrill and join the collection. It's the comic book connection.
So why is Army of Darkness in our summer series? Well, because this movie feels like somebody made a live-action comic book. It was definitely inspired by comics. I mean, Ash is a comic book hero. He's exaggerated. He survives impossible situations. He talks bigger than he actually is. And everything he does is just over the top, exaggerated. All the scenes are escalated. But at the same time, the movie and the series that we've talked about feels serialized. We have Ash getting to the cabin in the first movie and everything that happens. We have a continuation where the lore expands in the second movie. And now we've got the third movie where he gets transported. We even get some things that are reminiscent of like other superheroes where he accidentally creates his own villain. And he has to fight against the odds. And it's all comic book structure. But as James mentioned earlier, it also visually looks like a comic book. Each scene almost looks like a splash page that you would see straight out of a comic. Shots of Ash standing on the castle wall talking to everyone. The skeleton army marching down. The windmill sitting there. You could really just hit pause and just turn that into a piece of art. And that's exactly what comics decide to do, because Army of Darkness eventually got its own comic. Not just an adaptation of the movie, but it even continued in sequel form, which I will talk about a little bit later. And then also a bunch of the crossovers. But yeah, so let's get into some of the actual inspirations, though, that I did find out Sam Raimi had. So again, although not necessarily comic books, he was inspired by literature. We see, of course, inspirations from A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court.
Yeah.
Obviously. We see Gulliver's Travels.
Yeah.
Yep.
We, of course, see a lot of just not only in the story, but in visual, things like The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad and Jason and the Argonauts
Yeah.
with the stop motion animation. And something that Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi have never hidden behind, and that is their love of the Three Stooges.
This movie
Definitely.
more than almost any of the other ones they've ever done.
Absolutely, especially with the skeleton hands attacking Ash at that one point.
That was my first scene.
I will even say the scene where Ash creates his metal hand. I don't know if that could be inspired by comic books because of the way it's shot. You could even go and talk about how many other like almost like 80s montage scenes there are that was kind of inspired by. But that scene always sticks out in my head. That and the fact of how in the crap did he know how to do that? And how does it work? How exactly does he have control of that entire metal hand with his stub?
Yeah, it does
Like-
make you think because it's like,
Yes.
how do you connect that to your nerve endings to know tell your
Yeah.
brain how to move that?
I mean, given that he worked at S-Mart and had a chemistry 101 book in the back of his car to do the other stuff,
Yeah.
there's some stuff in there that's a little unbelievable that he just was like, Me and some medieval blacksmith figured out how to make a steampunk hand.
Yeah. And then also making the like turning the old Cadillac into like this tank type thing at the end. Very A-Team like.
Where'd you get the fuel?
I mean, you assume it's just whatever he had left in the tank. I mean, we don't know how much gas was in the tank at the time, and he didn't drive it all that much there at the beginning.
Well,
so.
especially, once they started trying to stab it with swords and...
Also, I think the back window got repaired. Little continuity thing.
Well, a lot of it got repaired considering it took like 100-foot fall at the beginning of the movie. That thing's been repaired so much.
And it has managed to show up in almost every Sam Raimi movie.
Yes.
Yep.
In fact, the rumor is that it is in every Sam Raimi movie, including The Quick and the Dead.
Yes, I still don't know where it is in Quick and the Dead, but...
Well, it's apparently there's like a wagon or cart or something that it's built over it, so you actually can't see it. It's just there so that Sam Raimi can continue to say it's in every one of his movies.
Yeah.
So I do know it's in Message in a Bottle, the non Sam Raimi movie that he did. The one, no, not Message. It was not Message in a Bottle. For Love of the Game.
That's For Love of the Game. That was really good.
For Love of the Game.
Yeah.
But that's the non Sam Raimi movie that he directed.
Yeah.
It's in that one. I don't remember the exact scene, but I do know it's in that one.
I probably should watch more Sam Raimi films now, even other than just his, Marvel and
Well, it's in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, it's Uncle Ben's car. Yeah.
And I remember catching, I don't even remember where it was, but I remember going, hey, that's the car in Multiverse of Madness.
I do too. Yeah, I don't remember where it was either, but I do remember going, oh, there it is. So... Yeah, what other Sam Raimi movies? I know there's Darkman, and I know it's in there. I don't know the exact scenes. I'm trying to think, like, is there other movies that I know it is in, or I got to go back and look at Drag Me From Hell.
I don't want to.
Drag Me From Hell.
Wait, you don't like the goat scene? That's my favorite scene.
That is the most Evil Dead scene out of that.
All right, we'll be like that.
What seems to be the problem, pal?
There's just so much pain in the world, so many issues. I don't think I can bear it.
Well, friendo, it sounds like you could use a dose of pop culture roulette.
Pop culture roulette? What's that? Some sort of pop culture themed podcast or something?
That's right, sonny boy. When hope seems far, dive into some PCR.
But I already get my entertainment news from Variety.
Huh, that's pretty good. If you're a chucklehead, PCR gives you news you need, condensed, unfiltered, and raw, from three nerds who know a little something about something.
Wow, okay, sign me up.
That's the spirit. Pop Culture Roulette. New episodes every Monday, available on all major podcast directories.
All right, well, you think we need to do a little bit more about the history of Evil Dead, or do you think everybody's pretty much caught up?
I feel like, at this point, if you're listening to this episode, you probably are already a fan, so you know that stuff. And I mean,
and we've talked enough about each one of them.
And you and I did Evil Dead 2 over on 80s Flick, so
yeah. Again, check out 80s Flick Flashback. Our friend Tim Williams, his pocket. We've done Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 over there. Unfortunately, he will never do Army of Darkness because it came out in the 90s. But we are covering it here on Moving Panels, so that's what really matters.
His loss.
And of course, as James mentioned, there would also be a TV series that would kind of follow up from this called Ash vs. Evil Dead that came on Starz. I never had Starz, so I didn't get to see it until it was out on DVD and Blu-ray, and then I finally watched it.
Tubi.
What? Yeah, but. Have y'all seen the series? Have y'all seen Ash vs. Evil Dead?
I had Starz for a little bit, and I watched the first couple episodes, and then I didn't get back to it, and then I don't have Starz anymore. So
you didn't see how it ended,
no.
Like the last episode.
I did.
So, okay. So to go ahead and put this out there are several different versions of this movie. So if you're already aware with Evil Dead, we'll come back to that. If you're not aware, there are 4 different versions of Army of Darkness. So there's a theatrical version, which is what probably my co-host watched. That's the one you're probably going to find streaming or available for purchase. It runs only 81 minutes, if either one of you are aware of how short this movie is. But at the end of that one, Ash returns to his time. He's back at S-Mart, but then he's attacked by a Deadite. And we get the famous tagline, "Hell to the king, baby," as he kisses the girl at the end. But there is an international version that runs 88 minutes, so 7 minutes longer. That includes a few additional scenes. Some of the footage is also in a little different of an order. But the big difference is the ending, which is also the same ending for the director's cut, which is 98 minutes, so even longer. In both the international and the director's cut, in that ending, Ash oversleeps. He's told to do 6 drops. He does 1, 2, 3, 4. He gets distracted by something. He goes back and he goes 4, 5, 6. But he actually does 7, obviously, because he did 4 twice. And he wakes up in a dystopian future. And he's like, I slept too long. Very, very much an Evil Dead ending, but Hollywood didn't like it. They wanted a more of a heroic, I guess you would say, ending. So they went with the other one. But I bring all that up to bring on this, and then we'll talk about these endings. And James, I think, already knows where I'm headed. At the end of the TV show, Ash vs. Evil Dead, they pretty much do the same thing.
Yep.
Ash wakes up in the future. Ash travels into the future. And very similar to kind of like this movie, that never went anywhere because the show got canceled. But I will have y'all seen both endings?
Yes, I have.
I think I saw like the YouTube of like the deleted scene once for the Army of Darkness ending anyway.
Which ending do you like better?
I personally like the theatrical one better. Like it's just, I like the he's telling the story and then he's like, give me some sugar, baby, and no, that's the earlier, but he's like, hail to the king, and shoots the Deadite, and I don't know, like that, and it leaves it more open for Ash versus Evil Dead.
Well, yeah, and that is what the one that they pick up with Ash versus Evil Dead. How about you, James? Which ending do you prefer?
As much as I like the dystopianness, I kind of like the running joke when we have the theatrical one where he does have that heroic ending, but there's still a twist to it. He's like, I didn't say everything correctly, but I got the right word.
I didn't say every little syllable, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I do like how that ended because it just shows, Ash's personality. Even though he's like gone through all this, he's still Ash. He doesn't know that he just still left something open and undone.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about something a little bit more in a minute. I agree with both of you. I kind of like the theatrical ending. I think the him waking up in the post-apocalyptic, future, that feels more Evil Dead to me. But I think the other ending's better, and it did allow the Ash versus Evil Dead series to kind of pick up and go where it decided to go, which would have been a lot harder to have done with the other ending. I don't know if you could have done another series, but the director's cut. But just FYI, I own the Steelbook 4K, and it has I have all 4 versions, so I have seen all 4 versions. The director's cut, which, like I said, runs 98 minutes, features some scenes that were not in the theatrical cut, has some scenes that are slightly out of order. Probably the biggest one is that Henry the Red does not show up to the final battle until after Evil Ash has been destroyed.
Interesting storytelling.
Yeah. They show up to help, just finish out the Deadite army. Because if you remember, Evil Ash is destroyed and they start to retreat. And the idea is then Henry comes in and just wipes them out.
Okay.
But that director's cut, the reason why it is not the version, not only is because of the ending, but with all the other 10 minutes or so. It received an NC-17 rating.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah. Yes. And apparently it just had to do with the graphic nature of some of the scenes. Sam Raimi, after talking with Universal, wanted it to get cut down to a PG-13 movie. Because the idea, Universal said, you're going to get a much bigger audience. Movie will do better if it's PG-13. But no matter how much he cut it down, they would not lower it any more than an R. It does have an R rating. And from what I gathered, and this was actually, I believe I heard this, I heard it either in one of the special features or it was I listened to the commentary with Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell. It was because of the beheading of the witch, the deadite in the pit at the beginning.
Really?
The MPA is such a weird organization that...
Yeah.
That's a whole nother episode of this podcast, or one of mine.
Or one of yours, probably, yeah.
Let's tear into them, folks.
Yeah, because Bruce or Sam won in the commentary, like I said, it may have been a special feature. They even talked about how movies, like even more modern movies, are worse than Evil Dead and get a PG-13 rating.
Right?
But yeah, and then you got the television broadcast, which, believe it or not, they also released on this Blu-ray set, and it literally starts with this film has been modified to fit your screen. You know, it has been formatted to fit the time allotted. I was like, man, I do not miss that thing at the beginning of movies. But I want to bring up the TV edit, because the TV edit has a scene that is not in any other version that makes one moment of the movie make so much more sense. So in the TV edit, when Ash is right before he gets to the windmill, he is in the woods. He looks over, the windmill door is open. He sees someone standing in the windmill inside of it. Then the door shuts and he goes running, busts open the door, and that's when he crashes into the mirror.
Okay.
That is such a weird edit. Why?
But doesn't that make so much more sense than what we see in the theatrical cut of him just looking over, sees himself in the mirror, and then runs headfirst into the mirror?
Yes.
I always thought it was a callback to when he did that thing in the first Evil Dead where he put his hands through it. That was my logic.
Yeah, it's just so weird because of the way that... Because it's clearly him. That's the thing, is that when he looks up, he's already in the windmill. He looks up, sees himself, and it's clearly him. Like, there's no doubt about it. And then he just runs full blast into the mirror. And it felt weird. So I will say, if you ever get to look at the TV edit, you can jump straight to that scene if you want. I think that scene deserved to be in the actual theatrical cut of the movie because it makes that moment make so much more sense. So
okay, I guess I
just throwing that
can
on
see
there.
it.
But I say all of this to say, so depending on when and where you watch Army of Darkness, you may have literally seen a different movie. So than someone else you speak to about it. So just keep that in mind. A whole bunch of different ones. But yeah, other things I wanted to mention, I just threw in some trivia here that I wanted to talk about. So first off, Ash's boomstick, he gives the big sales pitch about it and refers to it as a Remington. It is not a Remington. In fact, he has used a different shotgun in every movie. None of them have been a Remington. So
nope. Especially that first one.
For those of you who don't know, the words Klaatu Barata Nikto are from the classic sci-fi movie The Day the Earth Stood Still. They are the words that stop
Gort.
I forget. Gort. Yeah, I didn't write down the name, but I was like, I know it. Gort. Those words are also used to stop the aquatic killer toy in the Robin Williams movie, Toys. And if you do see the ending where they put Ash into the cave and they push, the Cadillac into the cave and he's sitting there taking the drops of the potion, That is actually the Batcave from the 1960s Batman TV series.
Oh.
And the cave and Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
All right, well, let's discuss a little bit more about the movie. And since this is kind of the one and only big movie for Bruce Campbell, let's talk about Bruce Campbell. I will pull back the curtain a little bit here. You know, we are recording this in summer 2026. If you're listening to this way into the future or whatnot, Bruce Campbell has just celebrated his 68th birthday. And unfortunately, he has also announced that he has terminal cancer.
Yeah.
And so we don't know how much longer we are going to have Bruce Campbell with us. And he is one of my favorite actors. I'm not going to say because of his acting ability, but because of just how fun it is to watch Bruce Campbell. I even own his autobiography, If Chins Could Kill.
I own it and I've read it.
I have read it as well. Yeah, If Chins Could Kill: Confessions of a B-Movie Star. So let's talk about Bruce Campbell and how he has made this iconic character. Because Ash has become a cult, you could even say, but I would say even he's made it to mainstream for the most part, as far as I'm concerned, has made this character of Ash Williams a horror icon. And he's one of the rare horror icons who is the protagonist.
You're right. Because most of them are Freddy or Jason or Chucky.
Yeah, Mike Myers, Chucky. Yeah. I mean, there's not an awful lot of horror icons you can think of that is the protagonist. But what I like is that Bruce Campbell, and he does this in so many things that he's in, but we'll specifically talk here about Ash. He plays this character with absolute commitment. He does not play it ironically. He does not, I wouldn't even say he plays it tongue in cheek. Like, there is no apology. He delivers every ridiculous line, every ridiculous act that he says as if this is the, like this is an Oscar-winning movie. Like, and I think that's what makes him so great.
Well, and I also think that, like, you can tell that he's self-effacing by just the title of his book. You know?
Yes.
You know, I think he understands that he was never going to be the prestige actor that people were going to nominate for an award just for showing up. He was never going to be Meryl Streep, who shows up in a movie for 5 minutes and they're like, Oscar!
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But
Dame Judi Dench.
He decided early in his career, maybe even during the first Evil Dead, that he was just there to have fun and be himself. And, like, give it his all and have fun doing it. He wasn't doing prestige movies. That's why he did a movie called The Man with a Screaming Brain, or Alien Apocalypse, or My Name is Bruce, or...
Oh, My Name is Bruce. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, like, he was like, I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna have fun. Because, I mean, his roles in Spider-Man, like, he's just like, Sam Raimi is my friend, and I'm gonna have fun being Sam Raimi's friend. Like, you know, that's why I appreciate guys like him over, you know, I don't even know what actor I want to denigrate right now, but just
full of
I'm trying to
themselves.
think. Yeah, people who are full of themselves. Like, I mean, I want to say like John Malkovich or Ben Kingsley, but those guys I think they have a sense of humor about themselves, especially now that they're older in their careers. But you know, the actors who are, well, I like a lot of the stuff he's in, but Jared Leto, like somebody who takes his self a little bit too seriously.
Yes.
You know, and just, this is acting. Acting is this big thing. Like, he's like, man, acting is, I'm doing this so I don't have to go dig a ditch. Like, I'm gonna make a lot of money doing something that's silly, but I'm gonna have fun doing it, and I understand that, like, I'm in a different, you know, and that's why I think I love movies like this, or Snakes on a Plane, or you know, they're
Lake Placid.
Yeah, just fun movies that don't take themselves seriously and are enjoyable because they know how ridiculous they are.
Yeah.
I fully agree on that. I met Bruce is definitely the kind of actor that even I strive to be in the industry right now, because he just shows you it's more than just, like you said before, just look at me, I'm acting emotionally. At the same time, you're committing to a character and you're having fun because you forget after you're done with it. You're like, I had fun doing this and I didn't do it because of the press. I didn't do this for anybody else. I did it for Sam because I like doing stuff for Sam. And it's a lot of fun. Even with the first Evil Dead, it felt just like, a college film, if you will. Just people
Which is
having
what
fun.
it was,
Yeah.
essentially, yeah. I mean, it was a bunch of college, high school even friends, because Sam and Bruce have known each other since high school. Which, just to throw this in, I didn't write down his name, but the blacksmith, the bald guy with the awesome mustache, he was another high school friend of Bruce and Sam.
Hmm.
So, let me ask you a question. Is there anyone today who has that Bruce Campbell swagger?
Oh, man.
I can think of someone who's pretty close, but I want to see, and I'll see what y'all think, but I want to see if y'all have any suggestions.
Maybe Paul Rudd.
Okay.
Okay, Paul Rudd. Maybe Jack Black. But both. Like Jack Black is getting to the point where he's like, I'm just Jack Black now.
Yeah.
He feels more like Jim Carrey for Jack Black, I guess, for that comparison. But for another actor, I don't know. I really can't think of anyone.
Well, let me throw this one at you and see what you think. So I think there is someone who kind of has the Bruce Campbell swagger, although he can play, the more Oscar-worthy stuff. And that is someone who has actually been in a TV movie with Bruce Campbell. They were in Burn Notice: The Fall of Sam Axe together. That's Pedro Pascal.
Okay,
I can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he hasn't done an awful lot of kind of comedy stuff, but you look at the stuff he's done when he does get to do comedy, like on Saturday Night Live, or you look at I never can think of the full title, The Inevitable Weight of Massive Talent, whatever that Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that Nicolas Cage movie, yeah.
Yeah, you look at some of that, I really think that Pedro Pascal is pretty close to a modern day Bruce Campbell. And of course he's done, he's done The Last of Us, which is, in that horror realm. And
yeah,
I don't know. That was just kind of my thought. I was trying to think of do we have anyone today who kind of could carry on that Bruce Campbell. And I think Pedro Pascal, he's willing to he doesn't have to take himself seriously. But he can also get across that leading man persona like Bruce could.
Well, I think that there's maybe a small argument to be made that guys like that exist because of Bruce Campbell. But
and that's why I brought up, them being in that USA movie, the Burn Notice movie, The Fall of Sam Axe. It could have been he picked up some of that, because that would have been pretty early Pedro Pascal. Because that movie came out 15 years ago. So
it's been a while. I watched all of Burn Notice, so I'm sure I watched that movie. It's hard for me to remember. It's been so long since I watched any of it that I don't.
Oh yeah, I honestly, to be honest, I don't think I've seen the movie since it came out. But I just know that Pedro Pascal is in it. But all right, well, so let's talk about the movie itself. So what did you think about a movie that, yes, it's early 90s, but this movie used a lot of practical effects, which movies were slowly starting to get away from, especially a lot of that. My mind just went blank. Harry Harryhausen, how you pronounce his name?
Harryhausen.
Ray Harryhausen, that's it. I was kind of switching up his name. So yeah, with a lot of those kind of effects, with the stop motion, and then we get the creature effects, and all of that. What did you think about the use of practical effects in this movie?
I mean, I wish more movies would do it even today, but I get it. Like, it's just a little cheaper and easier to do it with the CGI. But did you see the new Mandalorian movie?
I have not.
Neither have I.
A lot of it was done practical, and you could tell.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it just
again, Pedro Pascal.
Right.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just it made it a more fun. I mean, it was just a fun movie anyway, but it just like there's a place that you can it's proof that you can mix the two and still make it work. But
and that's what I think a lot of movies are forgetting is that yes, we're not saying we are against CGI, but there's some movies in which it's overused so much that my opinion, it sometimes takes you out of the movie.
Yeah, well, you start asking yourself, am I watching an animated movie or am I watching a live
It's just like when they called that Lion King movie a live action Lion King. Nothing live action about it.
There were no live lions anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, I probably have to agree as well, pretty much. Like, I love practical effects. Maybe I like them more than CGI because I guess I grew up watching so many old horror films and just seeing stuff from, like, fake fog to, places that you don't have to, dress up to make it look nice. Sometimes, less is more, the famous line I always hear about in the industry, less is more. And I don't know, it feels like there's just more heart when you do like practical effects because you just got like some genuine artists who can put something together with like, glue, a piece of paper, and some, God, I hate this stuff, spirit gum. You could make so many cool things with just, an imagination. And I know sometimes the industry, things like that get very, very expensive, but, take a small budget cut. Do you really need $1 million or do you want to throw a little bit into the practical effect and be remembered for that?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, some of the I guess you'd say makeup effects in this are actually pretty good. Like when Ash gets sucked into that one version of the Necronomicon, and then he comes out with the elongated face. Like that's a pretty good makeup effect. Like I thought it actually held up pretty well. Honestly, it was some of the CGI or I don't know if you'd call it CGI, but I get that the stop motion stuff, I mean, that's always going to look the way it looks, and that's kind of, we accept that's going to look the way it looks.
Right. I mean, I think sort of done intentionally to do a throwback to the Jason and the Argonauts and Clash of the Titans.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But the windmill, for instance, when he's running to the windmill, that windmill's a miniature. That windmill's sitting right in front of the camera, and he's like 300 yards away. But the visual shot just looks so good. And I just miss some of those. So, but speaking of the windmill, that is one of my favorite scenes. I like the tiny ashes. And again, you talk about some practical effects. Sometimes it's very obvious, but there were 3 actors there. There was Bruce Campbell and then 2 guys who just looked like Bruce Campbell. And sometimes you can tell that it's not Bruce Campbell, but I think they did a really good job with it. But that whole scene is just kind of fun for me. But what's like one of your favorite scenes from the movie?
I mean, we've already talked about some of them, but like I love that when he randomly remembers that he has a shotgun, or picks it back up and he fires it and he goes, "This is my boomstick." A line I quote, and then it's just, I mean,
it's such a quotable movie too.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I want to say that's mine, but I would probably say, not to copy with that, I think another scene that I always liked was when they're like in the chambers after like all the crazy stuff happened in the pit, and he's like getting waited on by a lot of people before he gets like his mechanical hand and someone turns into a deadite and that whole thing. And I always just like how he just shot it behind him and he like just shrugged himself and then she just falls down.
Yeah. The way, I don't know why he does it, but yeah, the way he goes, releases that air as he's lowering the shotgun.
Give me some sugar, baby. I think we talked about it before we started recording, but I'm good Ash, I'm bad Ash, and then has the The Evil Ash versus Good Ash.
Goody little two shoe, goody little two shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, and you talk about costume, practical effect, makeup, whatever. Bruce Campbell as Evil Ash.
Oh,
I'm going to be honest. I did not realize that was actually him, I think, when I originally saw the
Was
movie.
he... Now, I saw that Bill Moseley was in the credits. At some point, does Bill Moseley take over for Evil Ash, or is he Evil Ash the entire time?
So, I think... Because I don't know, to be honest. I tried to look, and I kept seeing things that said... I don't know if he was Evil Ash for when they were like in the scenes together and they put him under it. It was clear. I don't know, unless he can do a really good impersonation. There's clearly some lines that Evil Ash says that sound like it is Bruce Campbell.
I mean,
I don't know.
They could have ADR'd the lines, but
Which they ADR'd a lot in this movie. Which I found out from the commentary that part of that was because whenever there were a lot of effects, they would have somebody that while they were doing the scene, like he's yelling numbers so that they could get the timing down. And so they couldn't use the audio from the actual recording and had to go back and ADR it. Well, we've talked long enough, but this movie's so much fun for me. But let's go ahead and get into our final decision. Bag it, stack it, or trade it. Let's rate Army of Darkness. James, what say you?
I'm going to bag it. I'm going to keep it. I love it. I'll always watch it, man. It's part of the trilogy for me.
Nicholas, how about you?
Oh, I'm bagging it. Come on now.
Yeah. It's so crazy because I was like, man, I'm going to say bag it, but I have a feeling maybe they're not but man, yeah, it's not a perfect movie.
No, not even close,
no.
but
No.
But my love for Evil Dead, and then the fact that, look, if somebody said, look, I want to watch a movie that has a little bit of horror, a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of slapstick comedy, let's take a look at some stop motion skeletons. Like, I want to see something that's set in medieval time, and the guy with a chainsaw for a hand. There's only one movie on that list, and that is Army of Darkness.
Yeah. And I would have seen this movie right around the time that I was falling in love with Briscoe County Jr. And I was the Atola Keys on Hercules and Xena. Is that what?
Oh, I can't. I just know he was like the king of thieves or something.
He was. Yeah. And then rolling right into Jack of all trades.
Yeah.
And then that, just going to college and making the friends that I had in college, where I learned even more, because my dad raised me on Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But then I had some roommates in college who just were like, your dad showed you some good stuff. Let me show you some of this other stuff. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And just the where I learned to love cheese.
Yeah.
And so Bruce Campbell kind of became the guy, because he was the king of the B movies. His movies, none of them are great, but they're all a lot of fun.
Oh, we haven't brought up Bubba Hotep.
Oh my God. How have we
Bubba
not
Hotep.
brought up that movie?
Bubba Hotep.
I love Bubba Hotep.
That's a good one.
I will say there's a funny story real quick, and then I'll we talked about Elvises at one point and this one thing, and then someone's like, who played the best Elvis? And I yelled Bruce Campbell, and then somebody was like, Bubba Hotep, and I was like, thank you. There's some cultured people around me.
Yeah, man, Bubba Hotep. Yeah. No, that's definitely so good. This is this is a good movie. It needs to be a bag it. But let's get into some recommendations. And I'm actually going to start. I'm going to list something that's outside of Army of Darkness, but I'm going to go ahead and mention this. So very recently, within the last couple of years, there is a comic book series called Army of Darkness Forever. And it is a sequel to this movie. And what's even better about it is that it uses both endings to tell its story.
Interesting.
Yes. I won't explain that in too great a detail because there's a little bit of a twist as to how it explains it. But they use both Ash returning to the quote unquote present, and we get the ending that's in the theatrical cut. But then they also explain Ash getting sent to the future, and essentially it's time travel, so there's a lot of things dealing with time travel. I will say this: Sheila actually becomes the main hero of this story.
Huh.
But that's out there. It is I believe it was a 13 issue run. The way I actually have read it is anyone who is a part of this, it is on Comixology through Amazon. You can read the entire series. I read it in a day and a half. I believe it is 13 issues, although the 13th issue, the 13th comic, is kind of some filler for some of the other moments, like hey, we glossed over this, but let's tell kind of in deep what happened during that moment. And so the story ends in issue 12, I believe. But I wanted to throw that out. But aside from Evil Dead Army of Darkness, my recommendation is going to be go watch the movie Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes, because I think if you need a double feature of two overconfident, underprepared protagonists that get into something that is way beyond their ability, but somehow end up saving the day, I think it is a perfect companion to Army of Darkness. So I'm going with Big Trouble in Little China, although I will say I almost even went with Buckaroo Banzai as well. But Buckaroo Banzai is a little bit more confident. Or not, a little more competent is what I meant to say. But I'll throw out, can either of you think of a recommendation you'd like to give to go along with Army of Darkness?
I mean, it's a little different. It's not necessarily a movie. Actually, it's not a movie or a TV show. I honestly, for autobiography books, most of them are whatever, But Bruce is really, I'm struggling with the title again. It was Confessions, If Chins Could...
It's if Chins Could Kill, Confessions of a B-movie star.
I highly recommend it. That's a super entertaining book. It gives a lot of in-depth stories behind the scenes of the Evil Dead stuff, as well as some other things. But it's fun. It's just a fun book.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a year since I've read it. I should probably return to it, but I agree. James, did you think of anything?
I guess the one thing I could think of recommendation movie-wise, only because I think I found an actor that kind of popped into my head just a bit, even though he might be up in age. I have to say Willy's Wonderland.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Nicolas Cage was someone who ran through my head, but like you said, I think he's in that older generation of Hollywood now. I was looking for something more. When I said that, I was thinking of someone more relevant, like someone who could continue doing
the
stuff
next
today.
generation.
Yes, and I think Nicolas Cage he does have. Honestly, you mentioned Killer Tomatoes. George Clooney had potential for being this type of actor as well.
Yeah, but he started taking himself too seriously.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I will also point out for anyone who's interested in if Chins Could Kill, there is an audiobook version in which Bruce reads it himself. So
even better.
Yeah, I might actually look into that because I've read it. That was like say years ago, probably back when it came out, like 10 years ago or whenever it was that it originally came out, if not more. I honestly don't remember. Probably like 20 years now that I'm honestly thinking about it. But yeah, so all right, gentlemen, any last words as we wrap up our summer series here with Army of Darkness?
Groovy.
One line I want to say, but I think it almost violates your rules. So, if it doesn't work, you can cut it. But one of the skeletons said it best. Let's get the hell out of here.
All right, well, let's do that. Let me give you my last line. And I know I get a little reflective on these sometimes, but Army of Darkness is a movie built entirely on confidence. Ash has no business being the hero of this story. He's not the strongest guy. He's not the smartest guy. Half of the time, he's cleaning up his own problems. But he keeps moving forward like he absolutely belongs there. And somehow, against all logic, it works. So there's probably a lesson in that. But maybe the lesson is just never read mysterious books out loud. For today, for Moving Panels, I'm Laramy Wells, and I'll see you on the other side of the page.